This video is going to cover an introduction to Apps Script in Google Sheets. Apps Script allows you to create code that will automate your task. So in this introductory video, I just want to create some simple code that will take our headers from this data set of orders here and format them. We want to change the background color, add bold font, and add borders. So to access the Apps Script editor, we want to go up to the Tools menu and select Script Editor. Now the first thing that will pop up is a little box that asks if you want to try the new Apps Script editor. I still prefer the old one, so I'm going to X out of this. And here in this editor window, I want to click in the top left on this untitled project, and that will allow us to name our new project. I'll just call this Intro. So now what you see here in this editor window is the basic syntax for writing code in the Apps Script editor window. It begins with the keyword function. Google Sheets will assign that function a generic name. We can change this if we want. And then we have our parentheses and a set of opening and closing curly brackets. In between the curly brackets is where we write our code. And now before we start writing, one thing I want to point out that's very important is the hierarchy of how things are structured in Google Sheets. It begins at the highest level and you drill down to the lowest level. So it starts with the highest level being the spreadsheet application itself, which think of that as exactly as it sounds. It's the spreadsheet app that holds all of your spreadsheets, and then we have the spreadsheet, which is your spreadsheet or your workbook, the sheets within that spreadsheet, and then the range within the sheets. And the range can be, multiple cells or a single cell. So usually the goal is to get to the ranges and make edits to the cells most of the time, not always, but to do so you have to start at the highest level and work your way down to the range. So those are just things to keep in mind as we write our code. So with this hierarchy in mind, we want to begin our code, and we want to start at the spreadsheet application level. So I'm going to hit Control and Spacebar, and you can see a list of applications for Google populates there. What we want to start typing is Spreadsheet App to get the spreadsheet application. So I'll hit Enter to fill that in. After that, I want to type a period, because this displays a list of options that are specific to the spreadsheet application only. So I want to start typing Get Active Spreadsheet, and you can see it here in this list. That gets the spreadsheet we're in now. After that, I want to add another period, and I get a list of options specific to the spreadsheet. We want to get sheet by name, so I'll start typing that and select it. And the sheet name we're on is called Orders. So that is text that needs to be enclosed in double quotes. And I need to end each line of code with a semicolon. That's just the required syntax to tell it this is the end of the line. So now what I want to do is store this line in a variable. What variables do is they just allow you to store a line of code in an acronym or a short name that you give it so that you can refer to it later in your code. So it begins with the keyword VAR and then the name you give it, which should be something short and easy to recognize. So we'll call this SS for spreadsheet. And now I can refer to this acronym in place of this code anywhere else below it. So now I can type that acronym SS, hit period, and then I get a list of options that are specific to the sheet. So what I want to do is get range, because again, think of our hierarchy. We started at the spreadsheet application, then spreadsheet, then sheet. Now we're to the range, and there are different options for ranges. There are numerical inputs for the row and column, and then number of rows, number of columns you want to go if you have multiple cell ranges. What I want to get is this fourth option, the string A1 notation, because what we want to get is the range A1 through C1. So I also want to store this in a variable because I'm going to refer to it again. So I'll call this variable RNG for range. And now with this range, I get a set of options that are specific to ranges. So what I want to do is set the background color first. So I'll select that. And the input for this actually needs to be enclosed in single quotes. So we want to set the color to green. After that, with this same range, we want to set the font weight. We want to set that to bold. And finally, we want to set the border, and the inputs for the set border method are just true false values. True if you want a border on the top, left, bottom, right, and so on and so on. False if you don't want a border. So we want true for all of these. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it to all of these inputs. So right now you can see we have no formatting for our headers here. So once I save and run this code, everything should be formatted according to what we specified here. So I'm going to hit run, and what you will see when you try and first run your code is an authorization required box. So you'll click on this review permissions. This is a one-time only thing for every time you create a project. So I'll click on the Google account that I'm using for this, go to advanced, and then scroll down a bit and you should see your project name. Click on that and then click on allow, and it will say running the function now. So now we go back to our sheet and you can see everything is formatted as it should be. In our next video, we'll talk about using apps script to read and write values from single cell ranges and then also multiple cell ranges. So stay tuned for that next video. Thanks for watching.